Hey everybody, how's it going? Here for another Nascar Heat 4 video. This one's kind of investigating the newest update that came out last night, and it's version 1.06. There's quite a few things in this update and quite a few interesting things to play with. I thought this was kind of going to be a short video, but it's going to be a little longer because I kind of wanted to deep dive and test some of these sliders that we've been given and just see what they actually do to the game. So we're going to start off with the small stuff, and we're going to look at Sonoma first. They've changed what's now turn 7, and this is what we had previously. And this is now what we have. You can see they've definitely shortened the corner up big time. We've pretty much cut it in half, which is could possibly change some people's setups. I don't know if it will or not. You definitely have a more straight shot off the corner than you did. So like I said, it's a small change, but it's nice to see 704 is trying to keep things relevant to the real world on-track product. So the other small thing that we have up next, and it is small, is it says in the update that we have a billboard change at Watkins Glen. It's literally one billboard. They took off the Continental Tire billboard and just replaced it with the Watkins Glen logo. I don't know if maybe they didn't have the rights to Continental Tire, I'm not sure, but regardless, it's gone, and it's a minor change, but it was noted in the update, so I figured I'd include it. So we have one driver update to our roster, and it's in the Xfinity Series, and it's Joe Graff Jr. For those who don't know, he's only made 3 starts. You might remember him wrecking John Hunter Nemechek at Richmond this year. Not sure his plans on next year, but regardless, we got another addition to the Xfinity Series. Alright, one last small thing, and then we'll move on to some stuff that actually matters, like instead of billboards and drivers we don't know. We've got the ability to change the yellow flags now from strict to relaxed. And it doesn't really sound like a big deal, but you can see if it's on relaxed, you're not going to get a caution unless it's 2 or more cars. Now, I didn't test this out. I guess I probably should have. But just reading into that, that's kind of going to be a nice thing to have if it works the way it's supposed to. For this reason right here, I would mostly use this on a road course, because a lot of the time on a road course you'll have a single car spin or whatever, and it's not going to bring out a caution because that car is more than likely going to be gone when the field comes back around. So that's going to be a nice thing to have. I don't know if I'd use that on a super speedway or any other racetrack for that matter, but it's going to be nice to have at the road courses regardless of the series. Okay, now we're going to move on to arguably the biggest addition to this update, and that's competition mode. And you might be asking, what does competition mode do? And my answer is, I really don't know. And that's a shitty answer, but I can't really tell you exactly what this does. It says that some of your settings are locked. If you're on 105 difficulty, you're supposed to highlight the track, and you get the option, as you can see, to go into competition mode. But I'm not sure what settings are blocked out and you can't change. I don't really know. I ran a race at Watkins Glen, and I quite honestly didn't really notice a difference with much of anything compared to where we were at before this mode came in. I normally race on 105 difficulty anyway, pretty much everywhere we go. And I also, for testing purposes, left the default setup on, and that goes for everything I'm going to show you in these videos. I'm using default setups to just try and see, you get a true gauge of what these settings are actually doing. It's also good to note that I have the AI cars set on less stable. I find it's a little more realistic, not at plate tracks, which you'll see was probably a bad idea later on. But yeah, I just don't know what this mode really does. I guess if you're used to playing on a lower difficulty and you try this, you might notice a difference. I don't know if anybody knows what this is blocking out in settings. Please put that in the comments, because I'm really not sure. The cars seem to be pretty well where I had them set before. You see, as you saw, the 2 car get loose there. So, like I say, I don't know what settings are blacked out and what's locked and what isn't, but I wouldn't read too much into competition mode. I'd pretty much stick with what you've been running. Okay, now we're going to move on to what's probably the coolest addition to this update that I actually know what it does, and that's the drafting settings. that you can now adjust, which is awesome. And they also made it so you can change it and differ it from super speedways to any other track. This actually is an interesting thing to test out. As you can see, I have it on lowest now, and I took it to Talladega because what better place to draft than here to really see what this does. And there's quite a difference. So what I wanted to do here is to make Kyle Larson's 2019 season that much worse. I wanted to see how easy it would be to get him to basically lose a draft. And it really wasn't that hard. This is lap 1, and this is just coming off of turn 4, and you can see how much of a gap there already is back there to him. If you look down around the tack gauge, you can tell if you have draft or not. And the reason I want to start in the back was to make sure I had no drafting partner. And you can see I'm starting to lose a draft already. From what I can tell, you have to be extremely close to somebody for this to register you being in the draft. And you can see on Suarez's bumper, you can see that draft barely lighting up, and just look how he pulls away. And now here comes the 42, and that's how easy it is to lose a draft. And pretty well from this point on, I'm dead in the water, and there's really no coming back from this. I think one of the big factors that's going to change the way this works, and of course again I didn't test this, but I can tell from driving it that turning draft partners on or off is going to make a huge difference on how these cars drive, because and it's going to make it that much harder, especially with the lowest draft settings. If you turn drafting partners off, it's going to be tough. And again, I'm not using a setup, so I'm not going to be that fast anyway, but here's what it looks like with a drafting partner. You can see I can hold my own now. Again, I'm not using a setup, so I'm not going to be a rocket ship by any means, but not having drafting partners on, he's not going to lock bumpers with you and shove you, so you're going to have a good setup if you're going to try and run really low draft settings. So now I went and tried out the highest setting. There is a third setting besides what we had before that I didn't test out. You have low, lowest, and then high. Those are the 3 new ones we have besides normal. I didn't test lowest because I was too curious to see what this was going to do. So anyway, I tried to drop back here on the initial start because I wanted to see how long of a trail of draft you can actually get off these cars. And compared to lowest, it's pretty shocking. I'm running quarter throttle right now in the draft with a pretty significant gap to the 43. And the whole way down this back straightaway, I still have draft right now. That is how far back the draft works. Now, of course, this isn't to get confused with something like, I guess a direct comparison would be GT Sport, where you would have like a boost that if you're far behind, it's almost like a rubber banding to catch up. It's not like that at all, and you can see I have lost the draft, and just like in lowest, you're pretty much screwed till you get a caution. So it's nothing that's going to totally save you. But anyway, I restarted and wanted to check what it's like in the draft. I wanted to see the limits of it. It's quite far, so this is what it's like driving in the draft when it's this strong. Just riding around behind another car feels about the same, but what's different is when you're back, you know, the runs is what you're going to notice is a huge difference. And you can see once a lane starts to stall out, it's magnified that much more because you suck up so much quicker to the car in front of you. And you can see, of course, I was stupid and put on like a less balanced car setting for the AI, so I couldn't really shove and push on them too hard. But this is just an example of the moves you can make. You can be really aggressive with your moves, and it's that much more rewarding. But now you can see I don't have as strong of a draft from that car. I still have it up there in the middle, but it almost stalls you out in the middle. And I think using this online, if it's possible to use this online, it's going to make some fun racing. And now you can see I have no draft again. I don't have a drafting partner, and I'm just kind of holding station with the car on the outside. This is an example, like I was talking about, the difference with drafting partner having that on is going to make. The 71 is going to hook my bumper, and look at the shove that I'm going to get here on the high side. Just unbelievable. And the 88 doors me. So it's going to be a big difference. It's going to be a fun setting to play around with. It's an example of what can happen if you don't time your run right. And you wreck. Unfortunately, I did test this up leading to see what would happen, because I was curious to see if you're leading, how easy is it to get overtaken, because they're usually running 3 wide behind you anyway. How easy is this for them to gang up on you? And quite honestly, it wasn't that much different than it was before. The way the AI are programmed, you can, once you see that lane starting to get a run, if you come down in front of that lane when there's about half a car length to a car length, they're going to check up enough that they're not going to get around you. Unfortunately, being the shitty YouTuber I am, I don't have any footage of this because I suck, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, but I recorded footage and I can't find it. So, not that it's too important, because like I say, it's really not much different than it was on the normal setting, what would be considered the normal setting now for what we were running before. But I'm sure it's a little different, but it's going to make a big difference online if we can use this online. I'm not one that races online a whole lot, so I really don't care if it works or not, but I'm sure there's people that do, especially if you're running a league. But it's going to be an interesting thing to play around with and find a good balance. It's totally going to change plate racing. And it could change road course racing or speedways as well. I don't know how this is going to work on a short track. I haven't tested any of that. I wanted to just see what it was like on a super speedway. And as the days go by, we can start to dig in a little bit. Maybe try a short track race. See what this runs like at Richmond or Martinsville or something. But that was just the base of what this update did. A really neat update. Didn't expect to get a slider like that for the draft. Competition mode, no idea what that does. And the biggest change of all is we have a new billboard at Watkins Glen. And I, for one, am stoked. So, thanks for watching. Sorry I fucked up and didn't get good footage at the end, but what do you do? I also realized that in post-editing this, I didn't mention the last 3 things that are on the update list, which are talking about miscellaneous ones, tire wear and split screen. I don't play split screen. I don't know what the tire... I think there's something to do with the tire percentage was on or something. I didn't really think that was necessary to show that. As far as paint scheme names fixed, I believe that was Clint Boyer's scheme, and someone screwed up in naming it. I don't remember what they called it. It was something stupid. So that was fixed. That was minor. And the other thing was some sponsors appearing wrong on cars in career mode. Again, being a terrible YouTuber, I don't have footage of that. I haven't honestly started a career. Been thinking about it, but I don't know if that's something you guys would want to watch. Again, yeah, don't have footage of that. It's kind of minor, not a huge deal. But yeah, that was that. I figured I'd throw that in there because I'm making a video about an update, and I don't even put half the stuff in the update in the video. So, I figured that was worth mentioning. So, please like this video and subscribe, and you will get more excuses and apologies from me. See you later.